No.
Yes, we are here for a reason, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So, just in time for Halloween, we're talking probably the least spooky monster that I could think of, that you could think of. The Korred is up this week.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to be doing their Halloween one-shots and what
Yep.
have you. It's all over the D&D subreddit saying, hey, I'm doing a Halloween one-shot. But I don't want to be just something scary. Everything's scary right now. The real world is too scary. Let's do something fun.
Zombies.
Let's just have a fun.
Yeah, yep. That I couldn't agree with you. That is the exact purpose. Beautiful mentality. Beautiful mentality. Yeah. So I mean, you figure everybody's doing zombies and skeletons and mummies and apparitions, and we're going fun. We're going to have fun instead of scare people.
Yes, we are going for a little hairy dancing underground thing with magic hair.
Yes. What? Why don't you? First of all, just to give everybody a pretty good idea, what does this thing look like?
What does this thing look like? Oh, well, I'm going to break out Willow's Guide to Monsters real quick.
Which is a beautiful book.
Yes, it really is. Now, I'm very fortunate because I've seen one of these used in a session. Before I ever owned Bolo's Guide, my DM used one of these in a game where I was playing. And so I have a bit of a description already.
Okay.
So you can imagine it as a dwarf, a bit smaller, he's very hairy, big old bushy beard, mustache, got a big old nose, a big old cheeky grin. And burly forearms. He's a burly dude. He's small, but he's burly.
Little and burly. I'm with it.
Yeah. And of course, hooves. He's got some hooves on him.
Hooves!
And the grey skin. Hooves, yes, hooves.
Yes.
And grey skin, which of course is part of his camouflage deal. Right. And most importantly, magic hair. He has got a very, very luscious array of dreadlocks on him.
Right.
He's a very strange looking one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I figure with him being small, cloven hooved, like all of the artwork that I've seen of this monster is like hair and hair and hair, and then like there's hair down. It's like a face with hair, and there's feet, but not really.
Yes, he's a very hairy dude.
That's awesome.
He's like a little extra hairy dwarf.
Which is saying something, because those are usually extremely hairy creatures to begin with.
I know, but he's hairier than a dwarf. And he has magic hair. I know.
Yes.
I know. They're fey creatures, and they are just the absolute masters of the underground. Honestly, if there is like an underground feature or an underground set of skills that you need, the Korred is the best at it.
Really?
They have just got it all.
Okay.
They can sniff out gemstones and precious metals. They can navigate flawlessly. They can just have this intuition for, caverns and underwater and underground water and all this such. They've got they've just got these incredible senses as well. In addition to just being really good at navigating and manipulating this stuff. It's a really strong set of abilities for what they're meant to be good at.
Now, is it something that you say, okay, automatically, if I'm going underground, that I'd be foolish to not use something like this?
Well, they're not evil. They're chaotic neutral creatures who aren't immediately hostile to you. And generally, they're described as actually fleeing from encounters.
Really?
Rather than fighting. Yes. Even though they're among the stronger Fae in the game,
right,
at CR7, they're not inherently violent, and they'd rather just escape an encounter.
Okay.
Without violence. They're perfectly capable of being violent.
Mm-hmm.
But they just prefer not to be, and they've got a good set of escape abilities as well.
Right. In addition to the
but
hair.
if you, in addition to the hair, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're not inherently violent. I'd say you should still definitely try and use one though,
Right.
Because apart from being in a combat encounter, they're just so knowledgeable, and of course, let's not forget, fun. That you could still have one.
Right.
Like I said just now, I've been in a game that had a Korred in it, and he was in multiple sessions.
Right.
And despite my best attempts, we never fought him.
Really?
Yes. I was playing a ranger with Faye as a favorite enemy. I was trying to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like the Fae aspect of it, right? They by nature, they're unpredictable, right? There's something that, you know, they don't act the way you expect them to act, which is, you know, Fae, right? And if you're especially trying to hem this thing in, it's going to get away any way it can.
Yeah, again, they have such these like amazing underground abilities that you're still gonna want to find one. They're so good at navigating underground, and of course finding treasure underground.
There you go.
That they are widely sought out by the kinds of creatures that live there. And they also just like earth elementals as well.
Okay.
Now, they will attack if they're badly annoyed. Say, for example, someone's an active threat, or they're annoyed by the sounds of mining. It's my
really?
Here.
Okay.
Yes, they really don't like when people mine around near their territories.
Is it simply the sound that, or is it the act of hurting? You know what I mean? Is it?
There's nothing here to suggest that they're big into preservation. But maybe they are a bit. But honestly, they've got such good perceptive abilities. I can actually see how mining effort would really annoy them. Let's get into those abilities.
Yes,
actually.
please.
And we might start to get a better picture of what they're all about. So, like I said, they're chaotic neutral, small Fae creatures.
Right.
With a nice healthy natural armor of 17.
Okay.
And 102 average hit points. So pretty tough.
Yep.
And that is backed up by their damage resistances, which is resistance to non-magical weapons.
Huge. So a low-level party that runs up on these guys certainly isn't going to want to fight them, even if thing wanted to fight. You know. So.
Yeah, that is reason one. They got more. Now they've got like a fairly normal 30-foot walking speed, but also a 30-foot burrowing speed. Of course, they're underground creatures. They can just dive straight into the ground.
Does it say how they burrow?
I'm going to have to conclude they just get in with their burly arms.
It isn't the beard. I'm asking, like, is it like a beard snake that like Tremors style that turns into a little missiles able to?
No, but again, since they've got magic hair, I wouldn't put it past them to just like scrabble away with their hair a bit.
Right.
But again, they've got these strong arms. I don't see why they wouldn't just dig with their arms or tools. Now they've got some interesting ability scrolls here because despite being a small creature, they've got 23 strength.
Jeez.
You find me another small-sized.
That's unheard.
I honestly don't know if I think that might be the strongest small-sized creature. Someone, back me up.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't. Very few things have over 20, especially at that CR.
Absolutely, it's a CR7 creature with like over 20 in a stat. That's really not common.
Right.
Now they've got a good 20 in Constitution, a 15 in Wisdom, which is important because that's their spellcasting ability.
Okay.
They've got innate spellcasting, you see. Then a 14 in Dexterity, and 10 Intelligence, so perfectly average. They're about as intelligent as humans are on average.
Right.
And Charisma at a 9, so not very sociable.
Right, yeah. Which is kind of, I think, rare for a Fae. I feel like Fae are generally more charismatic.
Yeah, most Fae, if they have spellcasting, Charisma is their spellcasting.
Right, yep.
Not for Not for Korred, because Fae, they tend to take either the sorcerer or the bard approach to spellcasting.
Right.
Korred, no, they're wisdom casters, which might make you think that they're more like druids, maybe?
Sure. Especially if they're friendly
think,
with elementals.
Yeah, I mean, they're not just friendly with elementals. Their spell list is a very druid spell list, actually.
Okay.
But we'll get to that in a minute.
Sure.
So they got some skills as well. So they got athletics. Again, this is their burly arms coming to work again. They're good at climbing. They're good at grappling and shoving.
Mm-hmm.
Perception, a nice +5. It's
wow.
This ties into some of their excellent sensory abilities. They've got a few of those.
Right.
That's represented not just in their senses and their skills, but also in their spell list. So yeah, they've got amazing awareness of their surroundings, and stealth of +5. Like I said, they like to avoid combat if possible. They like to keep themselves and stay secretive, and of course that means they've got to have stealth.
Right. Yeah. Especially if you want to get the hell away from people, being stealthy is a great way to do it.
Yes, they're going to see you coming, and you're not going to see them.
Right. Right.
And again, athletics, it's like I said, how do they dig? They dig because they got +9 athletics.
Yeah, that answers that question. They're very athletic.
Yes. Now, actually, let's talk about those senses a bit more.
Yeah.
Because they've got 120 feet of dark vision, as befitting a creature that spends its entire life underground.
Right.
And 120 feet of tremor sense.
Wow.
Now, tremor sense is pretty powerful because you can sense stuff through walls or through caves underground. It's 120 feet.
That's pinpoint. That's a huge radius.
That is a huge radius that they can just detect you from as long as you're walking on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's no wonder that the sounds of mining would bug them. If they've got perceptions that are that strong, then of course it's going to bother them.
Absolutely. Nails. Yep.
No? So yeah, you can see where the perception proficiency comes in there.
Right.
You're just not going to sneak past them.
No.
I mean, first of all, you got to be like 120 feet away from them before you even try to stealth.
Right. And know that they're there to begin with.
Yeah,
which you don't, which you couldn't probably, because they're underground waiting for you to get the hell away from them.
Yeah. And they've actually got a surprising number of language proficiencies.
Okay.
It's a good list, actually. So they know Sylvan because they're Fae.
Sure.
Terran for communicating with earth elementals.
Right.
Which, of course, again, we'll get back to that when we get onto their spell casting.
Mm-hmm.
Dwarvish, Gnomish, and Undercommon.
Sure.
Now, those three are their diplomacy languages. That's what they use for talking with other creatures.
Right.
Because that'll be dwarves, deep gnomes, dwergar, drow, all sorts of stuff that inhabits the underground looking for treasure. The kind of people who would be actively seeking out Korreds.
Right.
And when you talk about like deep gnomes, for example, they also pal around with earth elementals. So, you start to see where they might overlap with these other underground communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, the law says that creatures like dwarves and other people who seek out treasure underground seek out Korreds because they're just that good at it.
Right.
They just have this innate sense for like underground gemstones and mineral veins.
What's their alignment? What are they generally aligned?
Chaotic neutral.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why a Korred couldn't be bribed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it couldn't be bribed in the conventional sense.
Right.
Like if a dwarf thought they could just give a Korred a bag of money to get to do what they want, they might be surprised. But I don't see any reason why Korred would not sell its abilities if it was paid the right price. And it's like you said, Fae don't think quite the same way. So what a Korred wants may not be the same as what other people want.
Right. Yeah. You can negotiate with him.
Again, yeah. Well, he's got 5 language proficiencies. You think somebody'd be able to negotiate?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he's got a negative charisma modifier, but you do not have that many language proficiencies if you don't talk to anyone.
Exactly. Yep. Even if it's to say, stay off my lawn.
Yes. Yeah. So they're good diplomats. There's a lot of roleplay potential here. We've said enough about the spell casting. Let's get into it.
Yes.
So their at-will spells are all quite high level. So starting off with Commune with Nature. So this is a spell that can tell you certain things about the environment around you, like where to find caves, running water, or certain types of powerful creature.
Right.
This again, underground, the range on it is 300 feet. Where it's several miles when you're above ground.
Right.
A Korred is probably going to be underground, so it's about 300 feet for a Korred. They can do this at will, and this is a decently high level spell. It's let me look here. Yeah, it's a 5th level divination spell.
Yeah, is that a ritual? It's at will, right? So he can just.
Yeah, it's got a 1 minute casting time.
Okay.
It is a ritual spell, but again, that's only for players. He's got an innate spell casting. He doesn't need ritual spells.
Sure.
He could just spend a minute to cast Commune with Nature anytime he likes. And again, this factors into their really strong sensory abilities. Yeah. It allows him to scout out threats in the area.
Absolutely.
Before he goes like sniffing around anywhere, he can just say, I'm just going to make sure there isn't some random beholder's lair around here because it looks a bit suspicious. He can just check.
Yeah, easily too. And not only that, when it comes to the party interaction, right? He absolutely is aware of your presence, not only with the tremor sense, but by that commune with nature at will. I mean, if something's coming into his zone or where it is, it's going to know first.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And this is also like a big favor that you can ask of a Korred. Again, if going back to the fact that they are just the ultimate underground navigators and explorers and miners, this is one of the reasons why an adventuring party would seek out a Korred if they were going through the Underdark or some big old underground dungeon.
Right.
This is one of those reasons, because it's just got this amazing awareness that can protect them from threats that a party might not be all too aware of.
Right.
That's not the end of it. So he's also got Melt into Stone, so in a pinch, you can just dive into the rock. Now, with Melt into Stone, if you dive into the rock, you're kind of stuck there until you end the spell. Okay. So you kind of got to be confident that the threat is going to pass reasonably quickly.
Now, you wouldn't be able to, he wouldn't, because he has an innate burrow speed, he wouldn't be able to then...
I did look this up, actually. I was thinking, if he melts into stone, can he just burrow his way out?
Right.
And I'm going to have to say no. The spell specifically says you otherwise can't move.
There you go. Yep, that's it.
It says it's just plain state.
That's absolutely rules as written. Yep.
It's absolutely rules as written. It's still a good spell though, because again, the Korred is aware of you probably before you're aware of it. Mm-hmm. So if you're just passing by, it can just sneak into a boulder, wait it out, then sneak back out again.
Yep.
Or if he was in a combat encounter and he was badly injured, they can say, hey, I'm going to hide in the rock for a minute here and just, stay safe. Say, for example, he was concentrating on a spell. They can use Meld into Stone to protect itself. That's
good.
Meld into Stone affects your perceptions unless you have 120 feet of tremor sense.
Right, in which case it doesn't. Yep.
Yeah. Meld into Stone also says that you can cast spells on yourself.
Interesting.
Commune with Nature is a self-targeting spell.
Yep.
So again, if he's not sure if there's a threat still around, commune with nature.
Yep. This guy has so much information coming in under the ground that, it is, like you said, it's unmatched as far as I'm aware of that specific realm. Who could do it better than him?
Yeah, and again, the other thing Melt into Stone is good for is if you're laying an ambush.
Mm-hmm.
You can just hide in the walls of cavern to lay an ambush. So say, for example, dwarves had been mining in an area and something disrupted their mining operation, and tensions have built and conflicts have broken out, and then the adventurers come through, your players.
Mm-hmm.
And the Korred, chaotic neutral, maybe either doesn't notice or doesn't care about the difference between the nearby orc stronghold, not orc, dwarf stronghold, and whatever players you
Right.
got in your party. It can be a misunderstanding, it can be I just don't care. But again, the Korred can use Melting Stone to ambush a party. And the last one of its at will spells is Stone Shape. And this means you can create simple stone objects and also passages.
Right.
It only affects a 5 foot by 5 foot area, but when you could do it at will, it takes like an action to cast. Yeah, one action. You can just shape tunnels through the stone.
Maybe there's your burrow speed. There's another good way.
Again, so it's a 30-foot burrow speed, but of course you can't burrow through solid stone. You can shape solid stone.
Right.
This also allows a Korred, again, if your players were trying to barter a favor from a Korred can open up tunnels where there weren't before, and it can seal off tunnels where there are currently.
That's brutal. That's great. Yep.
That is brutal. Again, so a Korred can just lock you in a certain part of a dungeon, for example.
Yeah, unless you play by its rules. Yep.
Yeah, he absolutely can do that. Again, it also says you can create like simple latches and hinges when you have stone shape. So it can create boxes and furniture for its house using stone.
Does it last? Is it a lasting? Because a lot of these like mold earth, for example, will return once the duration.
It doesn't. It's got an instantaneous duration, which means it just lasts until something else shapes it.
Wow.
And now the thing I really like about stone shape is that this makes the Korred one of those rare creatures that can build a dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know lots of creatures can just use regular construction methods to build a dungeon, but a Korred can fairly quickly just build a dungeon using their magic and their knowledge. I'm not sure why they'd want to. Maybe they're contracted by some more powerful fey creature, as an example.
There you go.
Or or maybe some dwarves actually managed to figure out, actually, this is how you bribe a Korred. But a Korred or a tribe of Korreds, they are described as being communal and living tribes.
Okay.
Could build a dungeon this way. The law says that they can spot secret passages through stone as if they basically weren't a secret door. Huh. This is not a specific ability in their stat block. This is more of a law thing. And again, it just goes further to show that they can create, and spot secret passages with no
instantaneously at will. I mean, there's a ton of different things that are just jumping into my head right now about why or what this, listen, a chaotic neutral fae does not need to have a reason to build a dungeon, right? Like, they could just feel like it. And for any other reason, that's why they do it. And maybe you're running through and you have no idea why it's so abstract or why it's, and he's watching you the whole time. It's aware of what's going on. I mean, there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, he just finds it amusing.
Right.
That's a reason. That's good. For a fae, that's a perfectly good reason, isn't it?
Probably the main motivation, I think, for fae.
Yeah, just in giggles.
Yeah.
And again, Korreds are one of the only fae that you'd really find underground normally, so I like that they fill that niche. That's not the end of their spellcasting, though.
Okay.
So, first of all, they've got Otto's Irresistible Dance. Now, their spellcasting isn't great. Their spell saves,
Right.
It's a 13. It's a spell save of 13. There's CR1 creatures with a spell save.
That seems pretty low, but yeah.
It is. But Irresistible Dance is the only spell they have that has a spell saving throw.
Okay.
They can only cast it once a day. For me, this makes Irresistible Dance their weakest spell easily.
Sure.
However, it it takes effect immediately, and you have to use your action to resist it.
Right.
And until you do, your attacks against you have advantage. Your own attacks at disadvantage. You can't move where you want. You're bad at dexterity saving throws. And also, it's funny because you're doing a silly little dance.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun creature. He can just say dance. We were talking about innate spellcasting, weren't we?
Yes.
Yes. Because we didn't get to the most important part of his innate spellcasting.
Hit me.
Which is once a day ability to conjure elemental.
Oh.
Now, his conjure elemental is a bit special because he can only conjure earth-based elementals.
Sure.
That the Galabdur, Gargoyle, Earth Elemental, or Zorn. Those are the only ones he can conjure.
Fair.
Now, I do find it strange that Volo's Guide also introduces the Flail Snail, which apparently is also an Earth Elemental, and you can't conjure that.
It doesn't seem... Maybe because they knew better. Maybe they were like, this is a little too silly, even for Korred.
I disagree. Anyway. Right. So, thing is, you can conjure a selection of fairly strong elementals. Like, these are almost as strong as he is.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all CR5, I think, at least, right?
The
Gargoyle's a little
Gargoyle CR2, the Galabdur is CR6, and the other two are CR5.
Right.
But they're all pretty strong regardless. Again, so he can like just conjure a chunky melee attacker for himself. The Zorn, the Earth Elemental, and the Galabdur all have good stealth abilities for hiding in natural rocky terrain.
Yep.
And the Gargoyle looks like a statue. But again, if he uses like his stone shape to create a lot of statues around where he lives, and the Gargoyle just happens to be one of them.
Yep. You would never ever know. Yep.
This is one of the big reasons he knows Terran, because he can conjure these Earth Elementals to do what he wants. Now, of course, with Conjure Elemental, there's always the risk that you lose concentration, they'll turn on you.
Right.
Now, with his +5 to Constitution, that's not terribly likely, but it's a possibility.
Sure. And still, it doesn't necessarily even mean that they will turn, right? He's capable of communicating with them, you know? Mm-hmm. So having them around might not be a bad idea.
Or you can conjure one and then meld into stone where he can't be hit, so there's no risk of losing concentration.
Very true. That's beautiful. That's I think a perfect use of that meld into stone. He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. The thing is, when you got like Earth Elementals and Zorn, I think they both have Earth Blight, don't they? So they can just phase through rock. Again, if Korred wanted to ambush you, they could just leap out of stone. It wouldn't burrow, it wouldn't, no secret passages, solid stone, and it can just leap out at you.
Yeah.
Then he's got Conjure Elemental, that's a big one for him. Also, I'd say just like wild elementals, once started conjured, are like a perfectly normal thing to find around Korred communities. You know, it's just kind of thing to buddy around with.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They could be remaining from a previous iteration of him casting that spell, you know. Mm-hmm. So there is no limit, I suppose, to the amount that there could be.
I mean, Earth Elementals just exist in some parts of the D&D world, and we'll put it this way: Zorn eat gemstones. You know, they're neutrally aligned creatures that eat gemstones and don't mind either bartering or bullying for their food.
Yep.
And Korred have an innate ability to just easily find gemstones and mine them.
How do you tame a beast? You feed it.
Yeah, exactly. And well, you don't even tame a Zorn. Zorn are intelligent. They have a language. They can think, reason, talk. Right. So you can just barter with a Zorn. You can befriend a Zorn, and a Korred especially can. That's what I mean by like they just have these abilities that just mean they fit in alongside elementals very well.
Yep.
And you know, again, these are elementals that a lot of the time wouldn't fit alongside like a Fey-based adventure or encounter, but they do here because he's all about that earth.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a great twist, right? Like Faye, not only are you, well, I think one of the last things you expect to encounter when you're going into the Underdark, when you're going under the ground, is this Faye trickster archetype, right? Like most of that
Yeah.
isn't, you're not expecting that. You're expecting mean, brawly things, which a Korred can be, but not to be messed with. You don't think that people are going to mess with you down there, and that's specifically, I think, what this guy can do.
Yeah. So he's got like two more passive features I want to get to before we get to the magic hair.
Yes.
So storm camouflage, that's just advantage on stealth checks made to hide in rocky terrain. There is no good reason for a Korred to be outside of rocky terrain.
Ever. Yep.
They just got so many features that use it. And then Storm Strength. Now,
interesting.
Their attacks deal extra 2 dice of damage as long as they're in contact with the ground.
Wow.
This is, when you look at their attack of their actions, this is factored in, if he's on the ground. Now, ground can mean a lot of things in D&D. Like a wooden floor is on the ground for most purposes.
Right.
I'm going to say that a Korred would have to be in contact with stone or natural ground, stone or earth.
Definitely.
I think that's reasonable. It doesn't say that, so I think it's up to DM discretion. But as a DM, if I was running a Korred, I'd take that to mean that. Not for any particular rules or kind of reason, but just because I think it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think, too, that you could even say rules is written, the floor isn't the ground. You could say that, unless you're a cave person, in which case the floor is the ground.
Now, his attack options are fairly standard. He's got a great club attack, and he's got a rock attack. Now, the rock attack is ranged and deals more damage. So, this is where Conjure Elemental comes in again. He can conjure like a big tanky frontliner for himself, even though he's pretty tanky himself. And he can just heave rocks from behind.
Right.
And again, the law states that they throw bigger rocks than you'd expect them to for their size.
Right. They're strong as hell.
They're strong as hell. But they're small-sized creatures, so I'd have them leg around rocks as big as themselves.
Yeah. Yes.
They're fun creatures. I don't see why you can't add that little bit of extra comedy involved.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's very cartoonish, but it's kind of intimidating, right? If you see something throwing something as big as itself at you, that isn't. You're going to think twice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, why the hell not? And the Grid Club, it doesn't say this, but since you can make simple objects such as weapons using stone shape, it's going to be a stone club, right?
Absolutely. It would be nothing if not that. Where's it going to get wood?
Yeah, they probably just... Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be metal. They're good at finding metal.
That's true.
Now here's the one everyone is here for. Yes. Command Hair. The magic hair.
Bring it. I'm so excited.
Now, the first few words of Command Hair says the Korred has at least one 50-foot long rope woven out of its hair. Now, he's told that at least one means he can have as many as he likes.
Yes. 50 foot.
50 foot. That's, again, the ropes are in schools of 50 foot in D&D typically. Yeah. And he has a 50-foot long rope woven out of his hair.
Perfect.
Now, he can only command one at a time, and that's a bonus action for him.
Okay.
And you can force a creature within range that is large or smaller. So, yeah, a little small guy, you can use his hair to restrain ogres.
With his hair. With his magic 50-foot long rope hair.
Ogres, rogue elementals, you can just use hair restraint.
No problem.
Yeah, again, this is a fun.
What's the DC on that?
Comical creature. So the escape DC is the saving is dexterity and is 30. Again, it seems to be based off of his spell save, which, as we just discussed, isn't remarkable. But he can have several strands of hair, and there's a bonus action on every single turn. So it's not that bad.
No, and
It's still
you
pretty
all he
strong.
has to do is land the one, and then the rest of them are going to be at disadvantage. Like,
Yeah,
and then he continues, right? If he's
yeah.
got 10 of them and one of them gets you, then
Uh-huh.
all the rest of them get you too, and now you're doing 10 checks
Yeah.
to get out of this hair rope.
hmm Yeah, so he can release them as a bonus action, or if he dies, then the hair stops being magical and just a basis and just stops restraining you.
Right.
But here's the thing. Now, a rope of Korred has an AC of 20 and 20 hit points, and it regenerates as long as he's alive. Now, the reason the hair has an AC of 20 is because whatever you use to cut off the hair on the Korred's head, not the rest of his body, just the head hair,
Uh-huh.
the hair that's removed becomes that material. So if they use iron or steel blades to cut their hair, it's now a rope of steel cable.
Jeez, that's ingenious, and it grows. So could he pull the cord? Oh wow, that's super good.
He can cut off his own hair to make steel cable, which is pretty damn cool.
That's amazing. That's really
It
good.
Yeah. There's this little note at the bottom here. One of those little in Bolo's guide. Bolo himself has these little anecdotes everywhere.
Yeah, please.
And it's one of them about someone who tried to cut a Korred's hair with golden shears. And without asking permission, so didn't end well. But again, an adventuring party is liable to carry around silvered weapons or adamantine weapons.
Right.
So if you could, again, bargain with a Korred, and they take a lot of pride in their hair, this is not something they're going to do lightly. You could, again, shear a strand of silver or adamantine thread, or steel, or gold, or whatever it is you have. And that's a thing you can get from a Korred.
Let me ask you this. Does it say how quickly it grows?
It unfortunately does not.
I'm
going to say that the Korreds are fey, so they can live very long lives, so they've just got a long time to grow hair.
Right.
So it grows at, I'm going to say, they've got to grow hair faster than humans.
Right.
Because they got magic hair.
Can you
but
see
I'm not
it
gonna
growing,
say you could,
is my question.
It doesn't say anything about that, so I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But that makes a Korred's hair even more valuable, doesn't it?
Right.
And it means you have to, a Korred cutting its hair for you to give you something, it's not going to just do so just because for nominal payment. Thinking, oh yeah, I got a lot of hair, you can have some.
Right.
It's going to say, hang on, I spent a long time growing this. I've got a 50-foot rope woven out of my hair. You know?
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it isn't going to be something taken lightly. It's like getting an eye away from a hag, right? It's something that is incredibly valuable to the creature. That yeah. I mean, immediately the thing that jumps into my mind is going the other way with it, right? And like, let's say you've severely upset one of these Korred, right? So he's got you with the rope bound, and maybe he has a torch and he like burns that piece off of his head. So then the hair is fire, right?
I had not considered that, and I'm afraid Bolo's guide does not go into enough detail for that. But that sounds awesome.
I mean, I if you burn it off, I think it becomes fire, is what I think. Like a skilled enough Korred with enough like anger towards someone could just burn it off, and then you're wrapped in fire. I mean
it's crazy enough I'd allow it.
Yeah, I mean they do hijinks. That's all they do. They're like that. I could imagine that being a really fun way to deal with something you didn't like.
I mean, I did get to thinking about what kind of stuff could you use to cut a Korred's hair.
Right.
And I reckon someone is going to try and use a sharp gemstone at some point. Thinking, hang on, how do you have gemstone hair? Metal is flexible. You can make wires out of it. You can't do that with gems. It's inflexible. It's even diamonds, if you do them in very thin strands, would be very, very brittle like glass.
Right.
But is that a bad thing? There are spell components that require crushed gemstones.
Right.
So it's not entirely a bad thing. It might not be a rope of diamond like you wanted, but it's still good.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean,
Um,
between that and I mean, you could use a garrote, to like
mhm.
shear it off with the twine, and then it's got this super strong strand, razor thin or
Yeah,
razor wire. I mean, the is it just the material? Is it the shape? Is it the
just the
base
material.
Okay.
No, it's just the material, yeah, which is still really good.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, I think it's the only. I think short of like artificers and stuff. How else do you get steel cable in D&D?
No, yeah, right.
Yeah,
You don't.
It's you just most of it. Yeah, for the most part you don't. So yeah, magic hair. That's a Korred. Magic hair. I can't get over it.
No, I think that is, I think the beauty of talking about these monsters, right, is we get a chance to look at them, and you see like you've got a like solid base of abilities that you could plug into a number of creatures and make them be stronger or interesting, and they all have this thing that they do special that nothing else does, and it like immediately you're filled with plot hooks, you're filled with uses and ways to utilize this that you wouldn't look at just by like looking at a picture of it or looking at the stat block briefly. Getting these deep looks at it, I like the creativity is just amazing, I think, with these monsters that they have in this game.
Uh-huh. I know, and the Korred is definitely up there with one of the weirdest, funniest creatures that they got.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
And again, there's the fact that there's just these such incredible masters of the underground mean that you can use them anywhere. How much of D&D takes place underground? Yes, sure, the players are traveling on roads above ground. They're going to inns and taverns and towns above ground. But sooner or later, their adventures tend to take them underground. If that's just a cellar clearing out rats, or a big old dungeon, or a dragon's cave, you're gonna go underground eventually.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, even if you're going into a cave in a mountain, right on the side of it, like I could see a Korred inhabiting an entire mountain. Maybe that specific mountain is what he considers to be his domain, and all the caves there aren't naturally occurring. They're crafted by this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, he just has these like ability to make stone do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
He could line the entrances with the door frames with strands of his own hair to tangle up intruders.
Right.
And the Korred doesn't need to fight himself to be part of an encounter, because you can conjure elementals. You can have his hair do the heavy lifting, or you can just run away from encounters. There's this neat bit here in the lore that describes how Korred clans perform these dances where they hammer rocks with their clubs and with their hooves.
Right.
And this has got to be loud, right? So imagine your players are going through an underground area and they hear this rhythmic dancing and boom.
Right.
So like you're thinking, oh, that's music. And then they scout out ahead to go thinking, hang on, what's going on here? And then they round the corner and find nothing there.
Right.
And they inspect the room thoroughly, and it's just a cave, and there's very little signs of any inhabitation. And they move on. Yeah. And as they go to the next chamber and they turn the corner, the drums return. And that is going to drive them wild.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something, too, that we haven't really even talked very much about, is they're not solitary, right? I mean, they can be, but by and large, it seems as though they exist around other ones.
Yeah, they're secretive, but they have their own communities, their own tribes.
Right. So that means you may be not dealing with one of those. You're dealing with an entire tribe of things that, on a whim, can conjure an earth elemental and disappear into the ground.
Yeah. Even if you've got level 20 players, if you have a tribe of Korred, you can still challenge them.
Absolutely. I mean, because there isn't a way, I don't think, to break the meld with stone once it's been
if
cast.
if you can break the stone or distort its shape enough, you can expel.
Okay, so physically attacking the stone would in fact. Yeah.
So if by accident you were just mining through somewhere, say for example, I don't know, you was a dwarf looking for treasure and you broke it open and there was a Korred inside, it would be expelled.
Right.
Or if you're an adventurer with like, I don't know, you got some fancy adamantine weapons and you just hit the rock to see if you can get the Korred out.
Yeah. But here's the thing, even if you do, it can go right back in.
Yeah. It can go right back. Well, I mean, it'll take damage a bit, but,
Yeah.
It's got all these language proficiencies. It probably knows at least one language that can tell you to bugger off in.
Right. I mean, so, okay, here's another question, right? So the AC of the hair is better than the AC
of the Korred.
And it can control what the hair does, right?
Yes.
Is this a hair knight? Could this be a hair knight? Is basically what I'm asking. Is it like Cousin It from the Addams Family, but like littler and angrier? Is that impossible?
I will leave that up to the DM. I honestly could say, see, the hair regenerates as well. It's once it's broke, as long as the Korred is alive and it has at least one hit point, the hair regenerates.
So that's what I mean. If it's regenning hair, if the hair regens, I feel like the flame tactic of cutting it off with fire, he wouldn't care very much because he knows that he can regrow it. I imagine the hair growth is pretty quick. I imagine it's pretty quick. Well, you grow an inch with this a month is the human, an inch a month.
Yeah.
So to get 50 feet of hair, 50 times 12 times
I've broken down that
a month. You know what I mean? You're looking at an insurmountable number of months for a human. But if they're having multiples of these, granted, a Fae is long-lasting and lives forever. But if the thing regen is like, I cut my troll, its arm grows back, and I see it.
Yeah.
I feel like if the hair can do that.
You know what? I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. Yeah, this is some amazing hair growth.
Yeah, it's got to be quick.
Now the other thing is, because you've got all these language proficiencies and underground creatures want a Korred on their side to help them with treasure, exploration, that kind of stuff. The Korred is something you can drop into an encounter with other creatures. So deep gnomes is the one that came to mind for me, because they also buddy around with earth elementals. There's a bit of synergy there. Right. The Korred knows Gnomish. So if you was going to have like a little deep gnome tribe or like a mine or something, but you didn't think it was challenging enough for your players, they've got a Korred there with them who is guiding them, or maybe he's just lazing around drinking all their beer while pointing out directions.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hey, that's chaotic neutrals for you. But once combat starts, then he can pop up with his club and let's start throwing rocks.
Instantly, that becomes a more difficult encounter.
Yeah, again, so like deep gnomes are like CR half, I think. And they buddy on with earth elementals that can be like CR 5-6. But the Korred is a bit tougher again and can conjure elementals. And it's more of a character. When I put combat encounters together, sometimes they're just monsters, they're obstacles. But when I can, I try to have a character in there. Absolutely. Because characters are better than monsters. And monsters can be characters. That's one of the reasons that this whole deep dive thing, I like it, because it turns you can help you turn your monsters into characters.
Yep.
But the Korred then can be more of a character in the combat that you can role play with during combat. Do you actually not want to hurt the Korred? You're thinking, hey, we were friends just now, or are you thinking, actually, I hate that guy, I want to take him down?
Right.
Like like oftentimes if you have like a boss and their minions, the boss is, you know, more of a character and their minions are just there to back up the encounter. I did this in the very last session I ran, you know, where there was like some underlings that were basically entirely without personality or character.
Right.
And then the main boss was someone they knew very well. But again, if you just have a Korred who doesn't mind like a bit of banter during combat, it can liven up a combat encounter that would otherwise just include elementals or like half a dozen gnomes that you don't know individually, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think too that the interaction between those deep gnomes or between Dwergar or between any of those subterranean races, they could, I mean, maybe there's one of them that worship a Korred as a god. And they make offerings to it, and he has never told them that that's not the case because they keep bringing gems to him. And you know, that opens up, you know, a societal aspect to it that you wouldn't expect to see from this little hairy leprechaun.
Yeah, like there's some little guy who is thinking, hey, these guys seem to think I'm some kind of saint of the underground, and I guess I must be.
Right, exactly.
I guess hey, if they say I'm a saint of the underground, I'm not gonna tell them wrong. You know, they're knowledgeable fellas. I bet they know some kind of messiah when they see one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they and now at that point, it's a social thing.
And there's, you can go in different directions with that. You can say, he's some kind of scam artist who's actively taking advantage of them. Or maybe he really believes them. It's just all gone to his head and his ego. And he really believes that he's as good as they think he is.
The ego matches the hair.
Yeah. And again, that's, of course, the opportunity for your players to, you know, kick them down a notch. Again, there's just these opportunities for this extremely talented creature, this amazing underground trickster.
Yeah.
With magic hair.
I mean,
with magic.
Just back to that magic hair thing. So I went with I was thinking hair knight, but I'd like to, I think, go a little bit beyond that and have it be some sort of hair kaiju, like a hair mech, where there's this little tiny Korred in the center, and there's this maybe 20-foot tall AC-20 hair monstrosity looming through the dungeon that as soon as you defeat it by cutting whatever the hair is, he just jumps into the ground and you have no idea what the hell just happened.
That puts me in mind of you ever play Sekiro?
Yeah.
Sekiro, you know the big rope boy who takes you to the Fountainhead Palace? One of them.
That's exact. I mean, you know, the hair, I think, is granted, like, you have this great baseline set of abilities, but there's
even ignoring any even without the hair golem stuff, this is an amazing and hilarious creature.
Yes.
That can make you dance on command, that has, you know, this kind of chaotic personality, magic hair, amazing stealth, amazing awareness. And I think here's the thing. Like I said, I've seen a Korred in play, and it wasn't underground. The dungeon master had taken some creative liberties with it, and he was swinging about on trees using his hair, and he could use the hair on its head, even without cutting it off, to hit magic buttons and stuff.
Right. Which you could. Absolutely.
You know, like with it. You know, like there were secret switches about the place that he could reach using his hair that our party had to use mage hand or throwing rocks there, you know? And he's swinging about on trees. He wasn't underground at all. He wasn't even in contact with the ground.
Right.
And, you know, he was using his hair to, like, try and disarm people. And again, that's not here in the stat block, but it's such a fun, characterful set of abilities that... And like you said before, there are tricksters who might just want to mess with you for laughs.
Right.
Our introduction to this guy was us mistakenly assuming he was part of a faction we're trying to infiltrate, and then him sending us off on a little dungeon side quest that was very harrowing for amusement.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
He did give us like a reward using his hair afterwards because he didn't expect us to survive, and we did. But we were still under the belief he was part of some enemy faction. And after when we got to talk to him afterwards, you're like, "Aha, it's you! We were been looking for you." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's you guys." And we couldn't, and we were managed to do this. Hang on, you're actually not in league with the hags. What hags? Chaotic Mutant.
Yeah. What are you talking about? I have no idea.
Yeah.
How'd that
What are you
thing
talking
go?
about?
Yeah.
Again, but it all comes. He wasn't using any sort of primeval awareness of the ground. He wasn't underground at all. Again, I didn't have Baldur's Gate at this point in time. I didn't know it had all these abilities, but we still loved its character and the magic hair, because magic hair. How many times can I say magic hair?
I mean, I think at least 3 or 4 times should be more. We need more. I think we need more.
Yes. We need more magic hair. We need traps made with magic hairs, tripwires, or, all this kind of stuff. Like a Korred.
A spider web. A hair spider web. I mean,
yes.
It never stops. You can do anything with this stuff. You could have a Doc. You could have Doc Octopus, where each one of his tendrils has like a brain of its own and acts, or he makes it. Maybe he's a crazy one who acts like this one is different than this one is different than this one is different than this one, and
like sock puppets.
Yeah, you have to appease each strand of his hair in a different way, or he conjures an earth element. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's just a lot. Yeah. There's just a lot. I know. Well, I mean, I think we could sit just thinking about crazy things to do with Korreds all day. I think when my campaign gets back on track to the Feywild, I'm going to be using one. Definitely.
I would highly recommend that to everybody watching, too. I mean, this thing is a lot of fun. And it's spooky. It's extra spooky. That's why we did it.
Yes, absolutely. Halloween. It is. Honestly, I don't know what we've been doing with these, other things. They're not spooky. This is spooky. This is the true Halloween spirit. He's got a skeleton in there somewhere, probably.
Maybe. I don't know. Do Fae have skeletons? Probably not.
I'm going to assume yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but I could keep going about this all day. Yeah. But
I think that's a great point to wrap it up. Thanks again, Morgan, for the time that you took. Sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties in the middle, but we figured it out.
That's on my end. That's rural British internet for you.
That'll get it to you. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.